this session will be recorded, that the presentation and the recordings of this webinar will be shared following the event, and you will be able to re-see this webinar on our YouTube channel, Horizon Malta. You can ask questions by using the chat box. So if you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat box whilst I'm presenting. And I would be very happy to answer any questions you have at the end of the session. Once I finish my presentation, there will be time for a question and answer session with you. So whoever wants to intervene can put his question live at the end of the session. I would like to let you know that you can register for on our mailing list, and you can receive all the up-to-date information you want on these calls and also on all the other calls of the Horizon Europe program by visiting our website www.mcsd.gov.mt. As I stated in the beginning, this is the 7th session that we are hosting today. In April, we focused mostly on the thematic clusters in Pillar 2. In fact, we covered them all. And in May, we're starting today with Pillar 1 on widening participation and strengthening the European research area. And this afternoon, we have a session on Euratom, on the Euratom program. And next week, we will be focusing on Pillar 3 with regard to the funding for SMEs. And here you have instruments such as the EIC and the EEN, for instance. Then on the 19th, we'll go back to Pillar 1, whereby we'll be presenting the MSCA, the Marie Curie-Sklodowska actions, and the ERC, the European Research Council. Just by way of an agenda for today, I will start off by giving you a very short overview of the program, of the Horizon Europe program. We will just go over briefly the eligibility criteria, the type of actions, and the funding rates. I will then present to you the objectives of the widening participation, strengthening the European research area, and the destinations. And during my presentations, I will be zooming in on 3 main calls, which are the teaming, the twinning, and the Hopon, which I believe are among the most popular calls under this pillar. So, as you might know, Horizon Europe is one of the largest research programs in the world. It's worth over 95 billion euros. It's in the process of being approved, and the launch of the first call is expected within days now. In a nutshell, it's split into 3 main pillars. So you have Pillar 1, which is about excellent science. And here you have, for example, the European Research Council, Marie Sklodowska actions, for instance, the research infrastructures. Then in Pillar 2, you have the thematic clusters. And there you have calls which are specifically, for example, on health, culture, creativity, inclusive society, security, for instance. And then Pillar 3 is more about innovative Europe. And here you find targeted calls more towards the private sector, the industry, and the industry, such as, for example, the European Innovation Council, European Innovation Ecosystems, and also the EIT. Today, we will be tackling a kind of, it's called like a transversal pillar, because the widening participation contributes to the objectives of all the pillars of the European of the Horizon Europe. So it's a kind of transversal pillar which also calls for bottom-up calls. So it's not, for example, widening participation in health or in digital, for instance. It invites applicants to apply in any area and in any team. So it's completely bottom up. If I can go through some basic eligibility criteria, you know that the general rule in the program is that there should be 3 legal entities from 3 different member states for every project. However, for widening, it's somewhat a little bit different, and I will go through the different criteria once we go into the specific calls. Because, for example, some widening calls have a minimum of 2 partners rather than 3. I will explain about this further on in my presentation. You may bring on board partners from any part of the world. So if you decide to be a coordinator, you can get any partner you want from all over the world. However, if they are outside the European Union or outside the group of associated countries, then you have to check whether they are eligible for funding. Normally, third countries are eligible for participation, but some of them might not be eligible for funding. So this is a technicality that needs to be checked once you arrive at the stage. I mean, your role in the project, in every Horizon Europe project, depends highly on the type of role you intend to take, whether you are a coordinator, whether you are a work package leader, whether you want to be a task leader, whether you just want to be a partner or a beneficiary. It depends the amount of input. Always you have to prepare your budgets and your resources according to the role that you intend to take up in the project. So it's very important that at proposal stage, you allocate the necessary resources for the duration of the project. Something which is coming up, I mean, we're currently discussing at the moment, which is quite new in this framework program, is that from 2022, entities applying for Horizon Europe will need to have gender equality plans, and this will be one of the eligibility criteria which the evaluators will be looking at. So it's important that as from 2022, you have some kind of gender equality plan in place, so that you can be made eligible for these calls. Always check the Horizon Europe general annexes, and always look at the fine print. I mean, these are some tips that we give. The fine print sometimes creates last minute problems, but if you check this fine print, then you should have no problem. So in a nutshell, the type of actions that we see under Horizon Europe can be summarized under three types of projects. You have research and innovation actions, and here the minimum is normally always 3 beneficiaries with a TRL between 1 to 5. Then we have the innovation actions, and here again 3 beneficiaries, and there is a funding rate according to the status of your legal entities of 70 to 100%. So here one would need to consult a little bit the rules to see exactly what your entity is eligible for. And here they target normally higher TRLs from 5 to 8. And lastly, there are the coordination support actions, and here the funding rate is 100%, and this includes also 25% of indirect costs for all the actions. Now, let's start with now the real core of the widening measures. So, in a nutshell, widening participation seeks to address discrepancies in the take-up of research and innovation opportunities between different underrepresented groups of member states. What does this mean in practice? In practice, it means that in the European Union, for a number of years, it's been identified that there are top innovators, such as, for example, Germany, UK, Italy, France, for instance. These are top research performers. And then you have a number of countries, which generally they joined in 2004, which are still in catching up mode. And Malta forms part of this group. Here I have prepared a map. It's the only map I found online at the moment. So I want to stress that this is just for Horizon 2020. It's not even updated for Horizon Europe because the list is still not 100% finalized. However, we have information that the list remains more or less the same. The only difference is that Luxembourg will not be considered as a widening country anymore. And instead of it, Greece will take its place. So that is the only change that we foresee with regard to widening countries. When I say widening countries, it means that these measures apply for widening countries teamed up. For example, most of the time, most of the calls are teamed up with non-widening. So when I refer to non-widening, I am referring to Germany, France, UK, Spain, for instance. I don't know, I can choose an associated country such as, for example, Switzerland or Israel, for example. These are non-widening. It means that they have advanced research systems and they don't need any help to catch up. When I refer to widening countries, it means these countries that I have just mentioned. So it's Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus, Malta, for example, Latvia, Lithuania, Greece, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Slovakia, and Slovenia. This pillar is split into two. So part of it is widening participation. And the second part of it is the European Research Area. And here, the European Research Area seeks to, there is the ambition to create a single borderless market for research. And this is where the policy reforms take place at the European level. So here you will find different calls to what you find in widening participation, more targeted towards pursuing this reform of the European Research Area. I will delve into the cause obviously now as we go along into the presentation. So in a nutshell, just for you to be able to separate between the widening and spreading excellence and the reforming and enhancing the European R&I systems, I just put into this table a few key calls so that you can differentiate under which pillar the calls go. So under widening, I can tell you, you're going to be hearing about teaming, twinning, era chairs, brain circulation, and the Hopon initiative. And there is an agreement that at least 3.3% of the total Horizon Europe budget has to be implemented under this pillar. So the budget is quite substantial. On the other hand, with regard to the European Research Area, you have scientific evidence and foresight, open science, the policy support facility, which helps member states for the review of their research systems, for instance. You have citizen science, responsible research and innovation, and also gender equality. I thought that under Horizon Europe, it would be for the purpose of this presentation, it would be good to run you through a little bit of the novelties that are to be expected under Horizon Europe against what happened under Horizon 2020. So for us, we see whatever happened under Horizon 2020 quite as a test, because it was the first time that we had these widening measures. They were implemented, we learned some lessons, and some changes have come about with regards to Horizon Europe. But what I can say is that the core widening instruments, such as twinning, teaming, the ERA chairs, for example, those have continued into this program. So you will still see this these calls. With regard to the novelties, there is obviously more emphasis on developing management capacities. The research cost is becoming eligible now under the twinning and ERA chairs. I will explain to you more about this once we come to the twinning and the ERA chairs. 80% of cost actions must have significant widening dimension. So this was a big step. And here, for example, just for the work program of 2021-2022, there's around 152 million euros committed to cost. So you can imagine the impact that this could have on widening countries. Something else which is new under Horizon Europe is that under Horizon 2020, the list of widening countries used to change every 2 years. Under Horizon Europe, the list is fixed for the full duration of the 7 years. And from the information that we have, it seems that the EU13, which joined in 2004, will continue to be widening countries. And then there is Portugal and Greece in addition to the 13. This should have a long-term stability. So this is the reason why the list is being fixed for the full 7 years. Something new which is coming under Horizon Europe is that the outermost regions will be fully eligible to host a coordinator under widening action. So if, for example, New Caledonia, which is an outermost region of France, it can host a widening teaming, for example, or twinning in New Caledonia. So, and also with France. So here there's a bit of competition when it comes to competing for the calls. There is a more integrated policy approach and enhanced synergies with European structural and investment funds. So in some of the calls, such as, for example, one of them which is quite clear, it's teaming. For example, you need to have alternative funding. You have to find some kind of alternative funding to complement the funding you are getting from Horizon Europe. And here they allowed for structural funds to be used as the complementary funding to the project that you will be implementing. So this was an important step even for Malta. The Advancing Europe package comes with a set of additional support schemes to boost participation of less research performing countries. And this package comes out of the package adopted in March 2019. So this pillar has 3 main destinations. The first one is all about improved access to excellence. Here is where you find the widening measures. Then destination 2 is about attracting and mobilizing the best talents. And here there is the focus on the individual researchers in the widening countries. Here is where you find, for example, the brain circulation measures such as the ERA fellowships and the ERA talents, for example, the ERA chairs, etc. And then destination 3 is about reforming and enhancing the EU research and innovation system. And this is where you find the ERA measures. You can call them ERA measures. So starting with destination 1 and with the first call to be expected under destination 1 is teaming. This is one of the most popular calls that you can find under the widening measures. For those of you who don't know, teaming means that, for example, an institution from Malta can team up with an excellent institution in Germany, for example, and together they can create a center of excellence in a specific field in Malta. Just to give you a practical example, imagine, for example, our hospital. We want to create a center of excellence on cancer and on brain cancer, for example, something really specific. So the people dealing with the doctors and the professors dealing with brain cancer in Malta can team up with a specialized brain hospital in Germany. For example, I know one in Hanover, for example, which is specialized on the brain. And they can create a center of excellence at par of what is being implemented in Germany, but in Malta. And that would qualify as a center of excellence. It works by the Maltese, like the Maltese consortium will invite the German consortium to apply for this project. To receive funding, they would need to apply in 2 phases. So phase 1 is normally the development of a business plan, which is, I mean, it can be also subcontracted from the project funds to have this business plan in line with the host region's smart specialization strategy. And then it is submitted for another re-evaluation to see whether they can commit to the financial support over the next 7 years. The money here is quite substantial. So the money coming out of Horizon Europe is around 15 million euros per project. But obviously it's not only that 15 million euros that you have to see. You need to also to have complementary funding, which you can get from the government, for example. Try to pitch the government. You can get them through other programs, through the structural funds. For example, you could have 30 million in total to implement a center of excellence over 7 years. One would need to see a little bit what is covered by this 15 million. And that is where MCST comes in, and we can advise you on the type of actions that you can include in your Horizon Europe proposal. If anyone from Malta will be applying for a teaming project, they have to apply as a coordinator. So MCST, I just want to stress that MCST provides some help to coordinators applying towards Horizon Europe proposals. So if you decide to go for a teaming project, do not be afraid to be a coordinator. First of all, the project is quite small as a consortium, so the administrative work is slightly less than other bigger projects where you have 15 to 20 partners. Secondly, MCST has a specialized call called IPAS, which is currently open. It invites applications from prospective coordinators who intend to apply as coordinators under Horizon Europe. There you can get funding to have someone help you to write the proposal. So already the first big step is already a big help for you to overcome. So once you get the IPAS money and once you have a service provider to write your proposal, then you submit it in September for phase 1. And then phase 1 again gives you money to subcontract a notable company to write a business plan for you for the implementation of the Center of Excellence. So really and truly, the big work only starts after phase 2, which comes after about 1.5 years. This project will be implemented as a coordination support action. There needs to be at least 2 institutions. So here we are moving away from the general rule of minimum of 3 partners. So you can be just two partners and get all the money between the 2 institutions. You can obviously have more, but then it's up to the coordinator to decide whether he needs any more partners or not. The total committed budget for 2021 and 2022 is around 180 million euros, which translates into around 13 to 14 projects. The opening is foreseen to be in the coming days. We still don't have the exact date yet, but we are informed that the calls are slightly delayed. So the 11th May isn't 100% sure that it will be launched on the 11th May. But the deadline is on the 9th of September. So that's all about teaming. Then we can go into twinning. Twinning is another pillar of this widening participation. It's probably the second or the first most popular call, because there's a lot of money. Again, here we're talking about 149 million over 2 years of the next 2 years, and but obviously the project size is much smaller, so then you have more projects being funded, and here we're talking about 100 projects. So the chances of getting a twinning project is quite high. Twinning aims to enhance networking activities between research institutions. So with this call, they try to achieve this kind of networking and collaboration with a view to having more long-lasting relationships between low-performing institutions and high-performing institutions. So here they fund activities like short-term staff exchanges, expert visits, on-site and virtual trainings, for example, workshops, conference attendance, etc. Something which is new under Horizon Europe is that the preparatory actions for research can take up to 30% of the budget. So if you go into a twinning project with a view to applying to a larger project in Horizon Europe, then you can commit 30% of your budget towards writing the proposal or preparing the proposal for your next Horizon Europe project. So this was an important step, because the previous twinning actions seem to stop at one stage. So once the funding stops, then the whole project kind of stops on its own and dies a natural death. Or the networks are there, but it's more difficult for them to start, like, to go up to the next stage and apply for funding. So to mitigate this problem, they included this 30% for preparatory research actions. This twinning will be implemented as a coordination support action. Each project will be around 0.8 million to 1.5 million. It obviously depends on the size of the project. It depends on the type of activities that are being implemented in the project, and also whether you are going to prepare for the next project. So again, if for example your calculations for the full implementation of the project would be, I don't know, 1 million, for instance, then you have, and then you can add on to your proposal this 30% to apply for your next project. Then you have to inflate it by 30% to prepare for the next project. So there's this facility now. I think this is it about twinning. We can go on to the excellence hubs. Here, the excellence hubs tend to change a little bit the ball game, because here they try to involve as many actors as they can. In fact, this call is implemented with what we call a quadruple helix approach, which means that you have actors in the project. You need actors from the academic institutions, from business entities, from the private sector, from the public authorities, and from societal actors. So it tries to bring all the stakeholders together in a way that they can collaborate in a project. Sometimes the academia seem to go in one direction, and the private entities seem to go into another direction, and then you have also the societal actors and the public authorities going in other directions. So this excellence hub tends to create this kind of space where these actors can come together and implement a project together, which aims to strengthen the regional innovation excellence in their ecosystem. So yes, over here it's kind of changing a little bit the ball game, not having, for example, academics only or politicians only, or public entities only, or societal actors, but all of them, private sector, all in one project. Here, the budget committed is around 50 million euros, and it's foreseen that for 2021 and 2022, 10 projects will be funded. So the project size is around 10 million euros, which is quite big as well. The deadline is going to be in March 22, but the launch of the call will be on the 3rd November 2021. The coordinators need to be from Widening for this call. So if Malta wants to apply for this call, it can apply as a coordinator. And it aims, as I told you, to strengthen cross-border regional innovation and excellence through common investment plans and strengthening links between academia, business entities, public authorities, and societal actors. We can now go on to the European Excellence Initiative, the EEI. Here again, it's about strengthening the capacity of our higher education institutions. However, here I need to make a disclaimer that whoever has received funding from the European Universities Initiative pilot is excluded from funding. So if your institution has benefited already from funding under the European Universities Initiative, you can participate in these calls, but you will be excluded from funding. This is the general rule for 2021 and 2022. This will be implemented as a coordination support action. The budget is around 30 million, and it's foreseen that they will fund around 15 projects. The deadlines the launch will be in June, and the deadline will be in November. You need to have a minimum of 4 partners, 2 from Widening and 2 from non-Widening. Again, here we're moving away from the general rule of minimum of 3 member states, because here they seek to find a balance between Widening and non-Widening. Here again, the coordinators need to be from the Widening countries, and it's all about capacity building for higher education institutions. We'll go on now to the Hopon scheme. This is a new scheme which did not exist under Horizon 2020, so it's completely new. It will be implemented as a research innovation action. The budget is of around 40 million euros, and it's foreseen that they will fund around 80 projects. The deadlines are foreseen to be for next year. So you have 4th January, so there are like cutoff dates, 4th January to 20th April, and 10th November for next year. The coordinator is to apply for this call. And no other partner from Widening countries to be part of the project. What does this mean? It means that the Hopon scheme, if there is a project which is already running and it does not have any Widening countries, then a person from a Widening country can try to hop onto that project. So if that project requires, for example, a new partner with a new budget, then they can open up a call for new partners, and then a partner from a Widening country can hop onto that project with a budget. I don't know whether I've explained this rightly. However, I can give a very practical example. Imagine there is this project ongoing between France, Germany, and Italy, and then they get the Maltese, a Maltese stakeholder gets information about this project and starts talking to the coordinator, and then the coordinator tells him, also in light of what happened with COVID-19, that many projects started having new tasks, for example, in the project, and they needed new partners on board. So here, the coordinator will go to the commission we'll ask the Commission whether they can open up the consortium to new partners. And once the Commission agrees, they will launch a new call for new partners from widening countries, and they can apply for this call and hop on to the project, basically. The only rule that is going to be set here is that the money going to the new partner cannot exceed 5% of the total project budget. So that's about destination 1. Now we go to destination 2, and here destination 2 is about attracting and mobilizing the best talents in Europe. Here you will find calls aimed at supporting further progress on the free circulation of knowledge, the ERA chairs, opportunities for brain circulation, early career and experienced talents, intersectorial mobility, better exploitation of existing research infrastructures, and reinforcing and strengthening the interaction between education and research. So starting with the first call, we can go into the ERA chairs. This was already a call which used to exist under Horizon 2020. ERA chairs will support universities or research organizations from eligible countries to attract and maintain high-quality human resources under the direction of an outstanding researcher or research manager, which will be the ERA chair holder, and to implement structural changes to achieve excellence on a sustainable basis. So here the ERA chair will be able to also have his own team to implement the project, and this project should be fully integrated in the coordinator's institution to significantly improve its research performance. The application can be submitted either as an individual by the ERA chair or as an institution. And here we're looking at a budget of around 80 million with 32 projects, and the deadlines will run between 8 June 2021 and 15th March 2022. It's a completely bottom-up call, so any domain of research is funded, and the coordinators have to be from a widening country. So here again, the focus on widening. With regard to the ERA fellowships, here, this is a kind of mirror of what happens under the Marie Curie Skłodowska actions. It's the same as the individual fellowships, the postdoc fellowships. You will apply for 2021 only. You will apply as you've applied before, but then there will be certain preferences, if we can put them in this way, for applicants from widening countries. Here there is a budget of around 8 million euros, so around 50 projects will be funded over 2021 and 2022, and they will be implemented as training and mobility actions. The application has to be a joint application from the researcher and the beneficiary or the recipient, the host institution, and it needs to be undertaken in a widening country. So here again, the focus on widening. Then there are the ERA talents, and here again, it's another training and mobility action. The budget is around 24 million, so there are around 4 projects to be funded. And the deadlines are 1st December 2021 and 12th April 2022. For this call, we still don't have all the information because this topic is still subject to the conclusions of a study to be organized by the Commission that will map out the brain drain problem across the European research area. So here, although we do have some information about this call, it's still not yet set in stone because it will all depend on the conclusions of the study. Now we can go on to destination 3, and here destination 3 is about reforming and enhancing the EU research and innovation system. Here the The focus is about efforts to reform and enhance the EU R&I system around 4 axes, and one of them is about prioritizing investments and reforms, improving the framework conditions to access to excellence, translating R&I results into the economy, and deepening the European research area. Here, the calls are mainly about improving these framework conditions. And in fact, moving away from the calls that I have just presented, this destination has more calls but smaller calls, if I can put them that way. In fact, I am going to put up on the screen all the calls. And these are all the calls that are foreseen under destination 3. I will not go through them one by one because there are just too many, and they are mainly calls, quite small calls. So we're talking about 50 million to implement all these calls, which means that each project is around 1 million euros, and 1 to 2 projects per area will be funded. Here, there is no preference to widening countries. So where before I was telling you that, listen, the coordinator has to be from a widening country, etc., etc. The set of calls under this destination follow the standard rules of the Horizon Europe program. So here you have big projects like, for example, 15 partners with a coordinator from any country, and minimum of 3 member states. Most of the actions will be implemented as a coordination support action or as a research innovation action. And most of them are targeted towards improving these framework conditions and trying to implement the devised European research area priorities. The deadlines are foreseen to be opening on the 8th of June, and the deadline will be on the 30th of September. I think this is it about destination 3. I would be happy to meet one-to-one with all of you in case you have any questions, and we can go through these calls into more detail. I just want to introduce to you our unit. So basically, we are mainly 6 national contact points. Each of us cover different areas of the framework program. We do have a Facebook page, we have a LinkedIn page, we have a Twitter page and a YouTube channel. Please subscribe to this social media, because from time to time we are constantly updating the information, and if you want the most up-to-date information, you will find it in these pages. And also please register to our newsletter so that you can get up-to-date information immediately once we transmit it. I think this is it from my side. Now is the time to see whether any of you have any questions. And in the meantime, I think we will be launching a poll. We need to stop the share screen. Yes, so you can see on the screen now that there is a poll. I would invite you to kindly fill it in, which will give us some feedback as to what can be fixed and what can be made better in the future. I will give you some time to respond. I don't know whether anyone has any questions. If you do, please either raise your hand or write it in the chat box. Okay, so thank you for joining us today. I don't think there are any questions. If you do, please feel free to get in touch with us. As I said, we will be happy to answer any questions you may have. So thank you for joining, and look forward to seeing you in one of the projects very soon. The slides, I see a question about the slides will be posted. I mean, this recording will be posted on the YouTube channel, and you will also have a copy of the slides, no problem. Thank you, and have a good day.